Fun, hard and addictive. Nioh is a hardcore action role-playing video game. It was released on 7 February 2017, exclusively for PlayStation 4. It was developed by Team Ninja, the studio that also made Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive series. Nioh takes place in the early 1600s, during a fictionalized version of the Sengoku period, when Japan was in the midst of civil war prior to the ascension of the Tokugawa shogunate. A sailor named William, in pursuit of an enemy, arrives in Japan and is enlisted by Hattori Masanari.
It seems death won't stop chasing me.
You're in the role of a European samurai named William, who has access to various items and weapons throughout the game, fighting both human enemies and supernatural beings called yokai. Weapons that you can use in the game are swords, axes, polearms and kusarigama. Also, William has some strong long-range weapons and big help from his guardian spirits. The gameplay is a hack-and-slash style, with William being able to run, dodge, sprint, block and attack the enemies. The game also reminds us a little like Dark Souls and Bloodborne style, with lots of action and hardcore fights, but Nioh is much more than a clone to these games with really great polished gameplay. The gameplay is really fast-paced, and we can say that Nioh was one of the hardest games we have played in our gaming career. The story of the game isn't explained that well, and it doesn't combine with all of what's happening, but every boss you defeat has his own story which combines with the others. That's one of the things that seemed great. The backstories of the bosses were interesting to watch. It was fun to learn more about them, why did they end up in that world, or why did they even side with the yokai. We really liked the start of the game, even though it was really hard in the beginning to defeat the enemies, but when you really get into the game you won't stop playing it. Also in Nioh there is a co-op mode, which we recommend for the players who have problems with defeating some bosses. We tried co-op and searching for players took some time, but there will always be someone who needs your help or someone who will be there to help you through your journey. Also, what makes this game great is its loading time. You don't have to wait that long to spawn again after dying. Some enemies are repeated in almost every mission, which is really bad because you get bored of those enemies and you master how to defeat them. So later on it becomes really easy to counter them and defeat them in battles. Playing the game we discovered every mission has its recommended level for it, but it is possible to defeat the boss and pass that mission even if you're 10 levels under. While we are on the missions, there is a map that shows every time you pass a mission. So when you pass one, a new mission appears on the map, and from there you can choose side missions or main missions, or even go to your blacksmith, shrine or hidden tea house to enhance your weapons in many different ways. Shrine is where you can upgrade your skills and offer items for Amrita. You can also change your spirit guard there. Hidden tea house is where you can buy items and different appearances for your character. But you don't buy it with gold or Amrita. You buy it with glory, which you can receive from the Revenants. Revenants are mini bosses which you can fight, but it's totally optional to defeat them. In the game you fight pirates, samurais and yokai. Yokai are monsters which are created by Amrita. They are the hard ones because they don't use stamina. But if you lower their yokai realm bar, they will fall and that's your chance to deal lots of damage to them or even finish them off with your spirit guard. As for the boss fights, they are the tricky ones. There are lots of ways to counter every boss and every boss is weak on its own way. Like spiders deal poison elemental damage and they are weak against lightning elemental damage. There are fast fighting bosses which deal less damage but faster, and there are the heavy ones which have big weapons like spear or axes. Their attacks are slow, but the damage they deal is large, so you have to be careful not to get hit. Fight them with fast weapons like dual swords or one sword in low stance. But when you fight fast bosses, we recommend spears and axes, so they can get to you and deal their damage. Try to avoid doing combos with boss fights. It's smart to deal a bit of damage and back instead of doing combos and getting hit back. Elixirs, talismans and shurikens. These items are great helpers in the game. So every time before a boss fight just farm some elixirs, because trust us, you will die a lot of times in those boss fights. Then there are talismans. There are lots of talismans, so we'll just talk about some useful ones which are slow talisman, fire talisman and earth talisman. Slow talismans significantly reduce the enemy's movement and attack. It's really useful against boss fights. Fire and earth talismans are used to enhance your weapon. Fire talismans burn your opponents on hit, and earth talismans deal bonus damage, and when you do a combo with earth talismans, or even weapon that has earth enchants, you can slow the enemy with every combo you do. Shurikens are a different thing. You can use them to knock or harass enemies. Let's talk about the longevity of the game. It took us about 20 hours to finish the game, but there are still lots of side missions left in Nioh. With all that said, Nioh is a great hardcore RPG game, with amazing polished gameplay and stunning visuals with good soundtracks and voice acting, plus some history facts. So, if you love hardcore games, then Nioh is definitely a game for you. We give Nioh overall 9 out of 10.